What should I do if I have doubts? Do you know everybody has doubts? Christians have doubts, agnostics have doubts, in fact even atheists have doubts. I have occasionally met atheist friends who admit to lying awake in the middle of the night wondering what if this God thing actually has more going for it than perhaps they've granted. But I want to start by saying there's a big difference when it comes to questions and doubts between two things. Huge difference between honest doubt and dishonest skepticism. Big difference between honest doubt and dishonest skepticism. What's the difference? Well, an honest doubter says, look, I've got these questions, I've got these doubts, but I want to find an answer. A dishonest skeptic says, I have these questions and I don't want to find an answer, because not having an answer means I can hide from the possible implications of Christian faith. How do you tell which of those camps you're in? Well, if you're an atheist or a skeptic watching this, here's the question I challenge you with. The thing that keeps you from being a Christian, if someone said to you, why are you not a Christian? And you give your reply, if that question, if that objection was removed, would you bow the knee and become a Christian? If you wouldn't, then I put it to you, you are hiding behind that question. You're using it as a smokescreen. And the Bible has some quite strong warnings about that. That's not rationality, that's foolishness. You're playing with fire. Be very, very careful. Don't use questions as a way to hide from God. Take those questions, get them answered by all means, but then follow where they lead. But what about people who are genuinely wrestling with doubt? Well, the Bible says some quite positive things here, actually. Jesus said, come to me, seek, and you will find. I genuinely believe that if you push into your questions, there are answers to all of the difficult questions about faith. That certainly might be my experience of following Jesus for 25 years. But what's interesting, it's one of my favourite passages of the Bible that deals with this, is in Mark chapter 9. There's a wonderful encounter described there between Jesus and a man who's wrestling with several issues, but this man is struggling to believe that Jesus can really meet his need. And he looks at Jesus and says, Lord, I believe, I do believe in you. Please help my unbelief. And I think that's a beautiful prayer to hold on to as Christians, because you're not an inferior Christian for having doubts. You are if you stay parked in them. But if you bring those to Jesus and go, Lord, I'm struggling to follow you, but I want to follow, I want to believe, help my unbelief. But one last thing to encourage you to think about. You know, at the end of the day, the Bible says the most important thing is not the strength of our faith, but who that faith is in. You see, you can fall into the trap of thinking that I have to have every question answered, I have to have a faith so great it makes every other Christian in history look like mere dwarves by comparison. And if I don't achieve that, then somehow I'm inferior. The Bible says no. Jesus is the one who has done it all. It's not about me, it's about him. He is the one who went to the cross to deal with my sin, and it's because of his death and his atonement, his resurrection, that I am saved, not because of my sheer work of effort. And when you have doubts, when you have uncertainties, when you have questions, bring them to Jesus, but keep your eyes fixed on him, the author and perfecter of our faith. If you're somebody watching this thinking, I like the look of Jesus, there is something about his message that's attractive, but I have questions, well, you know what? Join the club. Come to him. Your questions are welcome. There's a place for honest doubt. Dishonest skepticism, though, is a dangerous thing indeed. And I challenge you, if you are in that camp, leave it behind and take a fresh look at Jesus with honest eyes. Lord, I believe. Help my unbelief.